Hey, what is it, guys? Welcome to a Facebook SDK tutorial. This one is going to be about doing a simple login and then sharing a link to our Facebook page using our application. But we're going to be keeping it simple here. We're only going to get the user ID, and then after that we're going to be looking at the share link. So we click on that button, it pops up a window in Facebook, and then you can simply one click again get your application information out to your feed to all your friends. So let's have a look at how it actually ends up being. This is the Nox app player. So this is basically just a emulator for Android, my Android phone, and I'm gonna click on login here. It prompts to actually log in on Facebook. Once this is completed, which I'm not gonna do right here because of privacy information and such, but once this is done, it actually puts my user ID here, and we can use that to get my real name, to get all a lot of information that is private. And then after that, you can have the share link button here, which is quite simple. Again, it's gonna ask you to log in, and this time I really have to do it so we actually have a understanding of how this looks. So just give me a second while I log in on the other screen. Now mine is really ugly, it's really small. I didn't really put a lot of effort in this, but what you can do is add the N3K page message. That's the title. You can add a subtitle here. You can add a link which redirects to my website. And you can also add a picture, which is going to be down here usually, but that's something you can actually do via code as well. So guys, that's what we learned to do today with a simple application that does just that. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so as usual, let's have a look at what we currently have right now in the scene. So I have a basic Android project. As you can tell, this is set on Android right now, and I do have two buttons here. They're not linked to anything, they're just by themselves here. Nothing's attached, so a simple UI that I've quickly made using a canvas, a container that I've used, and then inside of it, vertical layout group. Got my two buttons and some text in them. Right, so what we're going to start by doing is import the Facebook SDK, because of course, that's what we're going to be using, so that's the most important step. So I'm going to head over to Google and type in developer Facebook, which will then end up with the developer Facebook page over here. Once on the website, you're going to see something like this. What we need to do at this point is register our personal Facebook account into a developer account, or if you have like a company's Facebook account, then you can use that instead. I'll be using my personal one. So I'm gonna go at the very top right here, click on register, and I'm already signed in on Facebook right now on on this browser. So it's pretty much just asking me, do you accept the terms? Yes, of course, and register. That's the only really thing we need to do to sign up as a developer. We're at the moment we're Facebook developers, just by clicking on that button. You're also going to have some new option on the real Facebook page. I think it's two new options, like developer settings or developer link to this page, something like that. I'm not sure, but basically our Facebook account is now a developer account. So next step we need to take is go over to our little face here. We're going to click on requests, and it's probably just going to tell us we don't have any apps. So let's go ahead and view those apps, and we don't have any. Of course we don't have any, we haven't created anything just yet, so let's go ahead and just create one new app. And then just fill in some information about this. I've called mine N3K page. I'm going to be using this Facebook app just to, well, just use it in general, so maybe like multiple games, and they can all use that N3K page to like talk on Facebook if I want to. Contact email is of course a contact email. I'll be using this as a app for pages, and I'm going to create a new app ID. Now we're going to have a security check here, and it's going to ask you to select all the pictures which show something. Sometimes it's waterfall, sometimes it's flower. In my case it's cats, so I'm just going to go here and select all the cats. Anyway, once you've done that, you are going to have a new app. You can actually view it by clicking here and seeing all new apps. We only have one right now. This is the N3K page, and it's not really available because our application is not live. But we don't really need it to be live right now. All we really need is just the app ID. Okay, so we have our app on Facebook Developer. We're going to be leaving it here for a moment. During that time, we'll be installing the Facebook SDK on Unity. And the way we do this is I'm going to open up a new page in Docs here by click on the middle mouse button. And now we have a new tab that shows us the documentation. Over here under SDK, we have the Unity SDK. This is what we're going to be using. Now, just go ahead and download that. I'm going to show this in the folder, and here it is. So once it's done downloading, we're going to be double clicking on the package just to import it. You might have to extract it. Actually, you're going to have to extract it. So if you have WinRAR or 7-zip, right click on it, extract here. And now we have two of those. We're going to be using the Facebook SDK. While your project is open, you're going to be double clicking on that Facebook SDK. And now you've got a lot of things to just import. I'm going to toggle off the example because I don't really need any. All we really need is the plugin and SDK folder. You can, of course, I recommend that you do import the example, you have a look at how to use it, and what else you can do. We're going to be looking at just doing a simple login and also a simple share. And that's what we're going to be doing. But of course, if you want to be doing something more, like pull something from Facebook, say you're going to be pulling the name of the user, you can have a look at the example. Okay, so we do have the Facebook SDK in our folder here, in our project folder. We also have some new buttons up here. As you can tell, we have the Facebook button. Let's go ahead and just click on that, go under Edit Settings. Don't really mind the error for now. We need a app name and also a app ID, which is information we can get right here on our Facebook developer account. So I'm going to click on that just to have some more information. Our app name is N3K page, in my case, of course. So I'm going to be copying this over here. And same thing for the app ID. Oops. And we just copy that here. That's really all the information we need to put in here. We don't really need to care about that just now. Some additional settings we need to do because you're going to be using Android or iOS is some app-specific stuff. Since I'm going to be doing this on Android, I'm going to tell you what are the Android steps. If you want to follow along, you can also have a look under the documentation. Over Unity documentation, if you just scroll down at, where is it? It's at the Getting Started, I think. Getting Started for Android. And then they're going to tell you the steps. Same thing for iOS here. But in our case, for Android, what we need to do is just make sure that our API level is at least 15. That's really the big important step here. So let's go ahead and just make sure it is by going under File, Build Settings, Player Settings, and here is what we need. We need to actually set a bundle identifier. So in my case, I use COM, the name of the company, and then the name of the app, which is Facebook Test. And the version is going to be 1. That's fine, that's fine. Everything is fine here. What we need to make sure is that the API level is at least 15, because that's where the Facebook SDK starts working. We are going to go ahead and just try to build that. So I'll be building this to my folder here. That's my project folder. It's pretty much just called Unity Project. I forgot to rename it. But let's do this build. Just to make sure everything works. Of course, our button, they don't have any action yet. We're just making sure we're able to compile. That's a very good step. So we're going to be compiling with the SDK. If that works, we can move on to the next step, which is to start coding. And here we go. We have the test build over here, and I have this error here. Android setup is not correct, which kind of is false, because if I go under here, I don't really have any error except the OpenSSL, which I don't really care for for the calls I'm going to be doing. And that's not an error, by the way. That's a warning. So I'm just looking at here, and doesn't seem to have any problem. We're gonna run into a problem. We're gonna run into an error if we did forget to set something. But right now, I don't think I forgot anything. Like I said, as of right now. So let's keep going. We are going to right-click somewhere, create a new C# script. That's gonna be our Facebook Manager. Now, Facebook Manager could be named anything, really. It doesn't have to be called Facebook Manager. I just want to have something that holds some public function that I'll be calling from my buttons. So my Facebook Manager, I'll be taking it, dragging it on the main camera. Why not? Could be on a empty game object. I'm going to be doing that on a main camera. Let's open it up. So we have a nice blank script here. I'm going to remove everything, just clean up everything like we always do. And let's go ahead and just start coding a little bit. In the namespace, we'll be using facebook.unity. We're also going to be using unity.ui, so Unity Engine. .ui. That's for a little bit later on when we want to actually put something on the text. I want to have some text reference, so that's why. And finally, we're also going to be using a list, I believe, so using system.collection.generic. Okay. Right. So the first thing that needs to happen when your game starts, or before you actually use that module, before you actually use the Facebook functions, you need to actually initialize it. Now I'll be doing that in a private void awake. You could also be doing this in a start if you wish, so a private void start, but I'll be doing it in awake, which is just being called before the start. So I'm making sure that's pretty much the first thing that runs in my game. And now we'll do a if. So if Facebook is initialized, if it's not initialized, let's go ahead and do a facebook.init. Now if it is already initialized, then let's do a facebook.activateApp. Now you might be wondering, why would it be initialized at the very beginning when you do an awake? Well, that's because you might actually be changing scenes. So say I have this script in my menu scene, and then I do my first initialization, so it's running this for the first time. Then I head over to my game scene. Facebook is still initialized. Then from my game scene I go back inside of my menu scene. Then Facebook is still initialized, but the awake is run again, so it's only going to do a activate app instead. Alright. So that's my awake right here. Going to leave it here. Don't have to do anything else right now. We're going to start by coding the login button. So let's do a public void login. This is what I'm going to be calling from my button. Whenever I press my button, I just want to sign up my user. So sign in my user actually. And to sign up my user, I'm going to be using FB login with read permission or with publish permission if you wish. Actually, with reading, you can actually publish as well. You're going to see that in a moment. And then you need to send in a list of permission, or you can just leave it on null if you prefer, with a callback, which you can also leave on null. We could simply like sign in like that and would pretty much do nothing. So that would kind of suck. What we're going to do though is we're going to send a callback to that. So just below my login function, I'll do a private void on login. So when it's done again, when it actually successfully logs me in, or maybe not successfully, when it's done running this function, I'm going to be calling this one. Just using the callback we had as a parameter. It takes in a iLogin result that we're going to call result. And let's make sure we actually define it up here. So that's not the first parameter, it's the second one. In this case, it's called callback. So we'll do callback, 2 dots, and we're going to send in on login. Okay, so we have a look at this. This is a function that is going to be called when we click on the button. As soon as we click on the button, we're running Facebook login with permission, with read permissions. And once that dialog, it's like a modal window. It's just like the Facebook login pop-up. As soon as this one is done, then it's going to call on login. Whether it's successful or not, whether the user canceled it or not, it's going to call on login. And then we can test using result. So let's proceed down here to check if the user actually did log in successfully. We're going to do if facebook.isLoggedIn. If that's the case, that means the user actually was able to sign in. Else, debug.log, let's do a simple canceled login. Now, if we are logged in, what we're going to do is we're going to grab that access token. The way we do this is we're going to start by declaring one. So access token, let's call it token, is equal to access token dot current access token. Now that token is filled with information. Information just like the expiration time of that token, the last refresh, what permission do we have access to. We can also use the user ID, which is, like, no, that's what we're going to be using here. So with this, we're able to know who exactly is logged in. Now the module to log in, like, you know, what we do after we logged in, that's something you need to learn, not on your own, but not right now in this video. That's not the scope of this video. Once you have the user ID, you can actually call to get a name. You can call the Graph API to get the full name of the person. You can call the Graph API to get its full friend list. You can do a lot of things with that. Here, we're simply going to take care of just logging in. So to show the user ID, so just to show the number associated with your account, I'll be using a public text. So public text login, or let's do user ID text. And that's for the mere purpose of just showing it. So user ID text.text is equal to token.userid, which I believe is also a string. Yeah, it is a string. So we can just simply leave it like that. Now, to make sure this works, what I'll do is I'll go on my main camera. We now have the user ID text, and I'll simply drag in this text here, the login text. So right now it's written logged in. As soon as the callback is finished, if I'm successful, it's going to replace that login text with my user ID, my personal user ID, which is like a number, a really big number, because there's so many Facebook accounts. Okay, so that should actually be it for the login. Right now, I'd like to test it out, and I think that's what we're gonna do. Before we actually do the share, we're gonna be building this. So I'm going to actually just go in the build settings and build this, overwrite my test build, and we are simply going to test this out on an actual device. If you try and test it out on the computer, it's not going to work because this is not meant for standalone PC games. In fact, it's going to have a mock interface, so you can just input some fake data, and it's going to be fine for testing purpose. But I want to see the real stuff, so I went ahead and I just created a new build. I'm going to launch this with a Android emulator. I'm using Nux in my case here, so we're going to be running it on our fake Android device. Sorry about this. Before we actually go ahead and build this, you need to add a function to the button. So I've built this, I played on Nux, and I realized that my button doesn't do anything. That's because there's no function on it. So head over to your button if you have one. On your onClick event, I'm simply going to call the login function that is on my main camera. Main camera contains my Facebook Manager component, and on it there is my function called login. So having this done, we're gonna go ahead and just try to build this, boot it, and see if we've did everything fine, which I'm pretty sure I'm missing something, but let's actually test this out. So I'm gonna build this real quick and come back to it on Nux. Alright, so here we go, it's booting on the device. It's not in the right orientation, but we don't really care for this case. We're gonna click on login, see what happens. And here we go, our first error, not logged in. You are not logged in. And you might be wondering, oh, am I not logged in on my actual Facebook account? Well, that doesn't make any that doesn't make any sense. The user might not be logged in on his own account on his phone, and we don't want to see that pop up. No, that is because your application is not really working. So let's go ahead and fix that. I'm over here on the N3K page application. That's on the Facebook developer website. We're gonna go under settings, and we forgot to add a platform, so that's totally my bad. We're gonna click here, add a new platform. This is, in my case, for Android. So I click here. We have a Google Play package name. Okay, so we're gonna go back in our game, have a look at the player settings. In my case, it is com N3K Facebook tests. I'll be copying this value, putting it here, and then the class name. This is basically just the name of your class. You can do com N3K Facebook test dot Facebook Manager. That's the name of my script, by the way, but I don't think it's actually required here. I'm just gonna throw that out here. I don't think it's required. I don't think it is at all. And we are going to just work with that, so just save changes. Then it's going to ask you, there was a problem finding this package on Google Play. That's normal. It's because we're not published yet. Our application is not published. So if that's normal, if your application is not already published, just go ahead and use this package name, and just keep on going with that. So here we go. We now have a Android version for this. We don't have a Android setting for this. And we can go back in Nux with the same application running. I haven't done any modification on my application. This is the same build. I'm going to click on login, and now it asks me to log in with my real Facebook account, which is what I'm about to do in a second, just to show you if this is working or not. And for privacy purpose, I'm not showing my Facebook email, which is different from my other one. And there we go. So we're back here. It's asking me continue with Michael. N3K page, which is the name of my application, is going to receive your public profile. Continue, and here we go. This is actually changing for my user ID on Facebook. And here we go. So it replaced the login text with my user ID on Facebook, which I could then use to find out information about my profile. So with my access token, with my token I've got from logging in, I could be using this number and accessing my friends, my real name, my saved application of Facebook, my pages, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much the login part done. We're gonna go ahead and just move on to the sharing a link part. So double click on Facebook Manager. We're gonna open that again, collapse those three functions actually. We don't really need to see them anymore, and we're gonna create a public function for when we click on the share button. So public void share. Now sharing is like one of the most simple thing you can do. Let's go ahead and just give ourselves an example. All we need to do really is just do fb.shareLink, and that's it. We can be leaving it like that. It's going to ask you to share like a blank screen, which is obviously something you don't want. That's something bad. Let's look at the parameters you can have though, that you can add on top of that blank screen. So let's go ahead and just put some information in there. As you can tell, all of them are null. What that means is that you can be putting them in parameters. If you just define it like this, you can be putting them in any order you want. So say you want to start with the title as a parameter, you can say content title, oops, 2 dots, and then you're going to put the title of this. So title is going to be N3K page, message, why not? Then we separate this with a comma. Let's go back to the URL. Let's actually share a URL. We're going to do content URL is equal to system.ure, a new system.ure actually. So create a new one. The URL is going to be, then let's send them over to my website. Why not? http n3k.ca. And in case this is a little bit too hard to see, let's actually go ahead and just split them by lines. So that's the first parameter, that's the second one. Like I said, they don't really have an order, but that's how we define them here. Content description, that's the actual message you're sending. So let's do content description is equal to, here's a link to my website, good times. You can also add a photo if you wish. In my case, I'll just skip that. However, what I won't skip is the last parameter, the callback parameter. So whenever we're done sharing, I'd like to be redirected to another function I have. In this case, I'll call it onShare. Now onShare does not exist just yet, so let's go ahead and just define it below here, private void onShare. It takes in parameter a iShare result that we're going to call result. Simple as that. We can now move on and just start coding this here. So just like the onLogin function, just like the onLogin callback, result is going to tell you if the sharing module here, whenever just this window popped with like all your information, when it popped, it's going to tell you if it succeed, if the user canceled it, if he removed the text inside of it, all that kind of information can be accessed here. So let's go ahead and just do some checks here. If result is canceled, or the string error, so if result.error is actually equal to something, and I wrote it this way, so if it's not null or empty, then we do have an error. If that's the case, that means our user ran into some problems. It either clicked on cancel or it ran into an error. So we're going to do a debug.log. We're going to write it the same exact way they have it on the documentation. So share link error 2 dots plus result.error. So we can actually see what is wrong. Unless it's cancelled, in that case it might be cancelled, there won't be any errors. In that case, if it's just saying share link error and then nothing, that means the user has cancelled it in our very case here. Else if there is something in the string result.postID, then we're gonna go ahead and just print that. So debug.log result.postID, or finally else, that means we succeed. So debug.log share link succeed, or share succeed. Alright, so that's all cool, that's all fine. Let's actually just have a look at what this looks like. We've been writing code, but we still have no clue of how this actually looks like. we're gonna go inside of the build settings. Again, just do a normal build, going to override this, and I'll make sure to also delete the one I have here on Nox, so it's not actually saving anything. And I will be right back as soon as the new version is done installing. Alright, so here we go with the updated version of our app. We have the login button, which just works like it used to. And we're not going to sign in this time, we're just going to cancel this. And we're going to try sharing without being logged in. Now, to your surprise, it's not working because I forgot to actually just add the link here. Let me just fix that for a moment. I forgot to actually go back here, click on share, add a function to my share button. So I go ahead and just put my main camera in here, which is the one that holds my script, Facebook Manager, and this is on share. Again, I'll quickly just build that again, sorry about that. Alright, so we're back with round number 3. Hopefully everything works, everything is linked properly. We are going to just go ahead and click on share without clicking on logged in, just simply share, see what happens. And it asked me to log in, so again, simply going to do that really quickly on the other screen. Sharing the little bit of information I've got hidden still. Log in, alright. And here we go. So it prompted this thing here. Alright, so this is what we end up getting. We end up being able to say a message and then share the little information we've put down here. So N3K page message, that would be my title. Here's a link to my website, that would be my content description. And finally, there's a link to n3k.ca, which I don't think we can click here. However, I'm going to just type in something, call this test, share this on my timeline, just for only me, so I don't bother any of my friends, and click on post. Good times. Now, heading over to my personal Facebook page right now, and I end up being right here. So that's me at the very top here, posting under the N3K page. It's a test, I click here, it goes to my website, which is not registered just yet. Good times. And there we go, basically that's me posting to my timeline using the application. Also note that it's posting under the N3K page, which nobody can see right now, because it's not really, it's not live. However, the message was live, and I was able to post here. So guys, that is pretty much what we've done today. We managed to do a login, and then share. We did the login on its own, and then we did the sharing on its own, which also includes the login, so that's pretty cool as well. So if you're just trying to have some shared link in your game, you don't really need to integrate the first part about the login. You can simply implement the share part and have your link or your high score shared, because that data over here is, of course, you can make anything you want out of that data. So you can be sharing your score here, you can be sharing anything, so that's really up to you at this point. And I will leave you on that note. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like, really appreciate that. If you have any comment or question, please leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, please subscribe for more tutorials like these. Check out the Patreon page if you wish to support me with whatever I'm trying to do here. And guys, I will see you in the next one.